Before we dive in, I have something exciting to share. On April 6th, which is in a week's time, I'm hosting a live online workshop called Sound More American in an Hour, Master the Rhythm and Melody of American English. If you've ever felt like your English is technically correct, but still doesn't sound quite like you want it to sound, quite like a local, this is for you. We'd love to have you as we can dive into the rhythms, stress, and melody that make American English feel fluent and natural. It's 1 hour, super practical, and designed to help you walk away sounding more confident and connected. Plus, there's going to be a Q&A session so that you'll be able to ask your questions and get your answers right there and then. Oh, and there's going to be a replay available. So you can find all the details and save your spot at the link in the show notes. I'd love to see you there. Talk soon. If I told you that one of the most powerful communication skills isn't about saying the right thing, but about not saying anything at all? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Carolina, and today we're diving into a kind of communication that often lives in the shadows. But once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere, and you'll start noticing when it's missing. Because if you want to lead, persuade, collaborate, connect, or simply be present in a conversation, you need to get comfortable with the quiet art of Enquiry. It's the part of communication that leans back instead of forward, that listens before it speaks, that pulls instead of pushes. And it all begins with one deceptively simple idea: paying attention. There's something profoundly respectful about paying attention. Not the casual kind where you nod along while secretly building your grocery list in your head. I mean full body, full presence, I am with you right now kind of attention. When someone knows you're really listening, not interrupting, not anticipating, not already drafting your response, something changes. Their thinking sharpens. Their ideas come into focus. They begin to articulate things they didn't even know they believed until the words formed in the air. It's almost magical, and it's incredibly rare. Nancy Klein, in her beautiful book, Time to Think, writes the following: "We think we'll listen, but we don't. We finish each other's sentences, interrupt each other, fill in the pauses with our own stories, check the time, give advice, give advice, give advice." End quote. Real listening means stopping all of that. It means pausing our own inner commentary, the chatter that's always preparing a counterpoint or jumping to a conclusion, and allowing someone else's thoughts to take up space in our mind. When we do that, we become a kind of mirror, not reflecting ourselves, but helping the speakers see their own thoughts more clearly. We become a container for their words rather than a competitor for the stage. And that's when something beautiful happens. The other person feels safe enough to go deeper. And that is very powerful. And yes, that also means we need to stop interrupting. Hard, I know. But let's be honest, we don't interrupt because we're rude. We interrupt because we're human, because something sparked in our brain, and we feel like if we don't say it right now, it'll vanish forever. Or because we're sure we know where the other person is going and we're ready to beat them to the punch. But here's the thing. When we interrupt, we're not just taking the floor, we're taking away their chance to land where they were headed. And more often than not, where they were headed was more interesting, more personal, more surprising than we expected. We interrupt out of fear. Fear of silence, fear of losing control, fear of being irrelevant. But listening requires us to trust the conversation, to trust that the other person is capable of getting to the heart of their idea, and to trust that our turn will come. So the next time you feel that irresistible urge to jump in, try asking yourself, what am I assuming here? Am I assuming my idea is better, that theirs won't evolve, that I'm more important in this moment? Interrupting isn't just a conversational tick, it's a mindset, and letting go of it is the first step to real, respectful listening. And then there's silence, of course. Pauses in conversation can feel awkward, heavy, unnatural, but they're also full of possibility. Some silences are rich. They're filled with thought. You can almost see it on someone's face when they go quiet, eyes drifting as they follow an idea somewhere new. In those moments, your job is simple. Stay. Wait. Be there when they come back. Other silences are empty. The thought has ended, and the speaker looks to you, maybe with a small shrug or a glance that says, I'm out of words. Both kinds of silence are invitations, and both require the same thing from you: patience, stillness, willingness to let the conversation breathe a little. Think of those pauses like junctions in the road. You could speak. They could continue. You're both choosing the direction. But that moment of stillness, that shared breath, is part of the journey as well. We also communicate with our face, our eyes, our posture. When we look at someone with steady, relaxed attention, we send a clear message. You matter. I'm here. Keep going. You don't have to overdo it. Like a gentle nod, a soft aha, a calm expression, minimal encouragers, as they're called. They aren't about taking over the conversation, right? They're about supporting it. Think of yourself as a quiet spotlight, helping the speaker stay center stage. Eye contact especially does double duty. It helps the speaker feel seen, and it helps you focus. The more intently you look, the more intently you listen. Of course, cultural sensitivity matters here. In some settings, intense eye contact can feel invasive. So tune in, adapt, but don't check out. That's the most important bit. Presence doesn't have a formula, but people can feel it when it's real. And let's talk about status. Because if you're asking someone to share their thoughts while secretly believing yours are more important, they're going to feel it. That power dynamic, even when it's unspoken, can shut down a conversation before it even begins. True inquiry means treating the other person as an equal. It means believing that they have something worth saying and letting go of the impulse to steer, correct, or finish their thoughts for them, especially if you're in a position of power. A teacher, a manager, a parent, this is critical because power always threatens to tip the scales. Inquiry rebalances them. It says, I'm not here to direct you, I'm here to understand you. It also means recognizing that ease matters. We don't think clearly when we're tense or rushed. We regurgitate old ideas, we default to safe answers, but when we feel safe, when someone's calm presence gives us room to explore, new things come out. You don't have to feel totally zen to create that sense of ease. You just have to slow down a little. Breathe, literally. Lower your voice a bit. Find a quiet spot. Make time. Even a 5-minute pause from urgency can open a door to clarity. And when you're listening, really listening, you might still need to offer a little extra encouragement. A gentle nudge, not to push your own point of view, but to help the other person go deeper. This is where tone matters. If you're debating, they'll shut down. If you're trying to win, they'll start competing. But if you're curious, open, calm, they'll keep exploring. That's what encouragement looks like in a conversation. Not cheerleading, but space making. One of the best ways to hold that space? Ask better questions. I don't mean the kind that trap someone in a yes or no corner, or the kind that quietly judge them in disguise. Ask questions that open things up, questions that help the speaker think. What stood out to you most? What would this look like if time wasn't an issue? How do you see it differently now? Even just repeating a phrase they said with curiosity, not challenge, can spark something new. And while we're on the topic of restraint, resist the urge to pile on information. Sometimes we overshare because we want to help, or show we understand, or prove we're informed. But too much too soon can crowd the conversation. So before you offer a fact or a perspective, ask yourself, is this the right moment? Does this add clarity or just noise? Finally, feedback is one of the most valuable communication skills we can have. That's pretty clear. But it only works when it starts with listening. If someone doesn't feel heard, even the most well-intentioned feedback can feel like criticism. But if they feel genuinely seen, they're more likely to trust your perspective. So before you launch into your thoughts, pause, ask if it's a good time, summarize what they see as the core issue. And then when you do share your view, be kind, specific, and brief. And if you're looking to challenge something, try this trick. Start with how to. Not this won't work, full stop, but how can we make this work with what we have? Not, you didn't think this through, but how can we develop this more deeply? Couple of words, big difference. So if you're someone who's used to taking the lead in conversations, offering ideas, solving problems, filling in silences, I want to invite you to try something else this week. Hold back a little bit, as in lean back. Listen more, ask better questions, and just see what happens when you stop trying to shape someone's thoughts and instead let them unfold. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next Sunday. Next Sunday, we're also going to have the workshop. Make sure you do look into it and decide whether it's up your street. This was Beyond the Accent, Speak Without Limits with Carrie, and it was a pleasure. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Talk soon.